بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين وباعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين الرسول المؤيد والنبي الممجد المصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر وحجة الله الثاني عشر ابن العسكري المنتظر ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فإن الله الصادق العليم قال في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يوم نفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا. الصلوات. صلوا على محمد وعلى محمد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The last two lectures in this sequence, remaining one tonight and the other the night of Ziyarah Majlis. And in these 2 nights we have to summarize and present the remaining points that are remaining to be discussed as far as these series are concerned. As I see myself tonight before you, I have to confess that despite taking more time, despite going at a very hectic pace, however, I am certain I will not be able to convey the entire presentation that I had prepared for you. The time, despite an hour and a half, still falls short. Despite trying to go as fast as possible, limiting myself only by the fact that I go enough fast so that I cover the topics, but at the same time not so fast that these youngsters and these young children cannot understand. Quite a few issues will still remain to be discussed, and probably if God gives us opportunity some other time, some other occasion and some other ashra, we will try to pick it up. But 2 very important points that remain: one which is tonight, one which will be on Tuesday night, that we will discuss on the final aspects of what will happen on the Day of Judgment, specifically to the phase that is just before entry into paradise or hell, that phase which is referred to as the Sirat and the bridge of Sirat, and the details about what will happen on that bridge, how will that function, the descriptions, the details. But that is for Tuesday night. As for now, from the time the lectures have begun, from the time the series has commenced, I have been receiving requests, and I have tried to a certain extent fulfill those requests, that if these things are being mentioned, the issues are being mentioned, what are the solutions? In order to provide solutions, first the jolt needed to be given, the shock needed to be given. It was up to the 4th or 5th lecture, and subsequent to the 4th and 5th lectures, we started giving in little points, practical issues, practical solutions for various problems, till we've come to the 9th night, the last night. Usually the last night, the day of Ashura, the night of Ashura, I usually make it a point that this is a night of the Ahlul Bayt. This is the night for the grief of the Ahlul Bayt. And I try to restrict myself to the Ahlul Bayt, their fadail and their rank, because everything cannot be understood by logic, as I've repeated. Everything cannot be understood by reason. There are things that are beyond the understanding of man. There are things beyond the logic of man. There are things beyond what a man's intellect can achieve, takes place. And that is what is referred to as God and Akhirah. If everything could be understood by man, then what was the need of sending the prophets? What was the need of sending the imams? What was the need of sending the book? But God wanted to tell us that I have given you aql, I have given you intellect, I have given you ration and reason for you to understand little things. But there are so many things that is beyond the scope of this mind of yours. And this we see in our daily lives. There were things that have been explained to us at the time of the Prophet, which people at those time, despite being high of intellect, never understood. But with the passage of time, with the increase of technology, with the advancement of knowledge, we've come to know. Like one of the things that have been mentioned at the time of the Prophet, when he was mentioning the malahim of the Day of Judgment, or the signs of the dhuhur of Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. If you refer to those malahim, the signs which indicate upon the arrival of Imam Mahdi, you will find there are so many interpretations that people at those times just did not understand. But now with the advancement of technology, we tend to understand. Like one of the things stated that a time will come near Akhirul Zaman where fire will come from the sky. Those people would keep asking the Prophet, how can fire come down from the sky? The only thing we can see coming down from the sky is water. How does fire come down from the skies? Now we can understand that some of the interpretations could be those bombs and those missiles that are laser guided missiles that fall down from the sky and wreak destruction and havoc. That could have been the intention of the Holy Prophet. This is just a very small example to state everything cannot be understood by logic. There are times when we have to let ration go, logic go, start crying and establish that emotional link with the Imam, that emotional relationship with the Imam. Everything that is spoken out from the mimbar, yes, it is good to keep asking why, how. And this is one of the things that I find at times disturbing. That yes, we tell the youths, we tell the youngsters, ask why, but we don't tell them that there is a time when you have to stop asking why. There's a time when you have to stop asking how this happens. There are some things that no man can say why except the Masoom Imam who has been given the divine knowledge. There is a time when you have to say, now leave the why and let the heart take over. There's a time when you have to say, leave the ration and logic and believe in what is being said. And you will see so many things that we will discuss tonight. Because tonight the entire discussion is going to be upon the Ahlul Bayt. Tonight the entire discussion is going to be upon that one solution that is going to solve the problems of you, me and everybody who is listening to this lecture. Because it has been created that way. And I would want to base the topic of my lecture. It is Qiyamah. But I want to base it on one sentence from the Ziyarat of Arba'in that has come to us. And one of the sentences that has been mentioned in Ziyarat Arba'in is that it mentions the reason for why this Imam has come to us, why the Masooms come to us, why the Prophets have come to us. And here the verse, the sentence of the Ziyarah says, and I'm speaking of one of them, saying, لِيَسْتَنْقِذُوا عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَحَالَةِ, that these Imams came, these Masoomin came, the books have come, and specifically Hussein has come, whose Ziyarat we are reciting as Ziyarat Arba'in, that they have been sent so that they come and they remove your servants from Jahala, from ignorance. And this is the ignorance that I'm talking about. that despite being very intellectual, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Quran says you may be Isaac Newton, you may be Einstein, you might be having the highest IQ that has been ever given to any man other than the Prophet, if it is compared that way. Because people talk Einstein has the highest IQ. I say, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Even with that immense IQ, Allah says what you have been given is very small. In that small context, we try to understand and try to use our ration and thinking we are very intelligent, and then try to use ration, logic in each and every step of what religion says. Incorrect. It is not plausible that infinite entity with infinite power and infinite ilm has ordained something that is infinite in this world, and we with our finite knowledge want to understand the infinite. How is it possible? You take a cup to the ocean, you try to fill it up. You say, I'm going to fill up the ocean in this cup. It's not going to fill up the ocean in the cup. It's going to fill up part of the ocean in the cup. This infinite ilm that is there and events that are going to take place cannot be encompassed by a finite mind. It will only encompass, the finite mind will encompass the finite entity, not the infinite. And it is here that we realize that there are individuals who have been given infinite knowledge by the infinite Lord. Infinite with respect to us, whereas this knowledge of the Imam with respect to God is always finite. But let's start on our journey. With this sentence, لِيَسْتَنْقِذُوا عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ, Quran, the Ziyarat of Arba'in says that these people came to us, these people came to mankind so that they can remove mankind from jahala, from ignorance, from lack of knowledge, from not knowing anything, and shown the right way, given the knowledge, give them the right way, grant them deliverance. Because they have always been sent. Remember, Ahlul Bayt have been sent not for their sake. Ahlul Bayt have been sent not for their benefit. They are individuals that are beyond the rules. They are individuals beyond the boundaries. Ayatullah Jawadi Amali says, Hafadahullah, that when we say, Inni tarikun fikum uthaqalain kitabullah wa itrati ahl bayti, that the Holy Prophet, when he was going, he says, I leave behind two things. One, I leave the book of God. Second, I leave the itrat. And then he says, one of them is heavier than the other. The Quran is heavier than the Ahlul Bayt. That Quran being heavier than the Ahlul Bayt. And whatever I see over here, I speak with authority, I speak with absolute reference. Anybody can come and challenge me afterwards. He says that this words that has been said by the Prophet, that I've left behind the book of God, I've left behind the Ahlul Bayt. The book of God greater than the book of Ahlul Bayt. The book of God heavier than the book of Ahlul Bayt in this world. He says it is with respect to this world. It is with respect to this world that the Ahlul Bayt have to come under the rulings of the Quran. That when it is time for Fajr, they have to pray Salatul Fajr. When it is time for Dhuhr, they have to pray Salatul Dhuhr. But in the realms of the spiritual world, the things are entirely different. Because أَوَّلُ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ نُورِي, Allah, the Holy Prophet says, the first thing that God created was me. I was the first creation of God. I was the most important creation of God. There has been nothing before me except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is said in the Quran, those people, not in the Quran, in the Hadith, many times people try to understand religion by their aql, try to explain everything by aql. It is not possible. There have been instances where we've been told about situations man just cannot understand. At that time, all those wise just fail. It is said, كَانَ اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَهُ شَيْءٍ. A little introduction, then we start off. It's saying there was a time, كَانَ اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ مَعَهُ شَيْءٍ. There was God, besides God there was nothing else. I'm not going into philosophy right now. I'm not going into falsafa right now, or mantiq. I'm talking about one hadith that the ulama say. It's saying there was a time when there was God and nothing else. Now I want to ask these youngsters at times, ration is good, but to what level? Rationalize a state where there is only God and nothing else. Nothing else means nothing. Nothing else means nothing. That means no light, no darkness, no space, no entities, no sun, no moon, no nothing, just God existing. That is why God says independent. You and me are independent of time. You and me are independent of space. You and me are independent of food. When we say God is the independent, Wallahu Ghaniyul Hamid, He is independent. He is the praised one. He doesn't require time. He doesn't require space. He doesn't require anything. Can you imagine a time that God is there and He's not created anything? There is no light, there is no darkness, because light is a creation. Absence of light is darkness. There is no heat, there is no cold. Absence of heat is cold. Can a ration ever imagine a position, a place, a phase of time when there is nothing except God? No light, no darkness, no space, no time, no nothing. No, you can't rationalize it. A time comes when you say, yes, it exists, my mind cannot understand and comprehend. Then you let the heart take over. Yes, He is my Lord. Where He was, what He did, I'm not concerned. My heart says He is there, I'm bowing down in submission to Him. And this is where the Ahlul Bayt comes in. Your mind is too low to understand God. We will send somebody who will put it in terms that you will understand. And that is why you find that they have come to help us. They have not come for their sake. Their work is cut out for them. They are above paradise, and they are above Jahannam, and they are above the punishment, and they are above the bounties. Those are not things for them. They have been spent specially for us. And when we refer to the entire traditions that talk about how they will help us, leaves you absolutely amazed. That these individuals came to help us. These individuals wanted to take our hand and pull us out from min al-dhulumati ila nur, from the darkness into the light. And then when we see the ummah doing this to them, let us understand, we cry over Hussein. We need to understand for what we cry over Hussein. Crying over Hussein because he was thirsty? Crying over Hussein because he was hungry? Is that what we are crying for over Hussein? Is that what is justifying for us to cry over Hussein? Is his mazlumiyat confined only to hunger and thirst? You'll find so many people who are hungry and thirsty. If you compare Hussein's mazlumiyat only in hunger and thirst, then that's wrong, It's not wrong. It's a dhulm upon Imam Hussein, because there are so many other people who have been hungry for 15 days. Then you better cry for them more than you cry over Hussein. No, we cry upon Hussein because he had come to save us. A representative of God, a hujjat of God, a nominee of God, from God, with divine knowledge, with divine position, with divine authority, coming to help us, to save us, to deliver us. And then when we do what people did to Hussein, then we cry that this is dhulm. Not hunger and thirst. And when you see the riwayat, on every occasion that man is needed by them, they are standing over there. Every occasion you find that man is in trouble, you find them standing. And today I want to take you on a journey, a very short journey, on the various stages, because we are talking about Qiyamah, right? And we want to know what is that solution that will provide us salvation. One of the most prominent, one of the most stable, one of the most guaranteed of solutions for all the problems fima ba'ad al-maut is the love of Ahlul Bayt. And again, as I tell you, let it not be considered people who sit over and talk with sentiments. This place, every time, as I said, that you cannot talk every time with ration. At the same time, you cannot talk every time with sentiment. Sometimes when you talk with sentiment, you have reaction and you have proofs. And all the things that we will be discussing are emphatically proved. So let us start on our journey and see that when it is said, لِيَسْتَنْقِذُوا عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ, that they have come to save your servants from jahala, from perdition, from eternal damnation. How and where and in what manner do they help us? And then let us see that these entities who are there to help us, who are there to save us, who are there to deliver us, are we doing enough for them? Or rather, do we qualify to be of those individuals whom they will help us? Let's start on our journey. Journey to the Akhirah. Very short, an hour. The first thing that you see is, the tradition says that the journey to the Akhirah begins when you see Malakul Maut. Again, I don't want to go into detail, just references. You heard what happens when Malakul Maut comes. Very briefly. That was 2 ashras back. But you heard what happened. You heard that instance about those youths of Bani Israel going to that graveyard. That old man comes, 99 years hence since my death. That pain, that suffering, that pinch of death, that acrimony of death is still within me. I've not forgotten it. Tradition says when the time for death comes, the muhibbeen of Ahlul Bayt, you and me, saying they deal very differently with us. This is their love for us. The only thing we have to realize is, do we give them that much love as they deserve? It's saying, as the time for death comes, when a mu'min is dying, and now because it is Ahlul Bayt, we will mostly restrict ourselves to the state of the mu'mineen. And again, I wish to remind you, last night's question and answer session, mu'min consists of three factors. One, the oneness of God. Second, the prophethood of the Prophet. Third, the wilayat of Ali. When you have these three, you become a mu'min. Saying when Malakul Maut comes, he deals differently. When a person is a mu'min, things become very different. Because when you refer to Biharul Anwar, there are 56 traditions. All of these talking about one thing. One of the essentials of our faith, that when a person dies, no, not when a person dies, when anybody dies, one thing that is certain is that Imam Ali alayhi salam comes to him. Every person who dies, whether he is a mu'min, whether he is a munafiq, one thing that is certain, one thing that is bound to happen, one thing which cannot be doubted is that that person sees Imam Ali alayhi salam. Pick up Biharul Anwar, 56 traditions. All of them say, at times Imam Ali alayhi salam, some traditions say Ma'asumin come, all 14. The common point in this is that the Ma'asumin come, all 56 traditions. All of them state one thing, the Ma'asumin come. Where do they differ? At times they limit themselves to Imam Ali alayhi salam. They say Ali comes and the Prophet comes. At times they say the Panchtan come, the 5. At times they say the 14 comes. Irrelevant. Masumin come. The only point that comes of a doubt is whether Fatima to Zahra comes in near every dying person or not. That is one thing that was not clear. But one thing that is definitely clear is the other 13 Masumin are there. At times together, at times the hadith says and limits itself to the Imam Ali alayhi salam. But the fact that when they come, they do something that tend to create or remove problems for us. Because tradition says when Malakul Maut comes first, by default, he's not going to come in a good shape. He's going to come in the same manner as the manner that Hazrat Ibrahim saw. And you heard that when Ibrahim saw, he fell down in a swoon. When he gets up, he says, this very look, this very demeanor, this very appearance is enough adab. As soon as Malakul Maut comes, tradition says the Masumin are standing behind him, standing beside the deceased person. In front of them are two personalities, the Holy Prophet and Imam Ali alayhi salam. As soon as Malakul Maut is about to come to seize the soul of the person, you remember what happens. As soon as Malakul Maut comes, the first thing that he does is to stop the tongue. Because this is ghaib. It need not be shown to people. It does not have to be told right now. It should not, it ought not to be told right now. So the first thing, the tongue goes silent. Now he sees, he cannot see, he cannot say. All of a sudden he sees that there are individuals around him. Malakul Maut in that absolute fearful appearance instills fright within him. Instills fright within him. He doesn't know what to do. Tradition says all of a sudden he sees certain luminous personalities standing against him, around him. As soon as he sees their appearance, which is directly contradictory to the appearance of Malakul Maut, when he sees Malakul Maut, intense fear within him. But when he sees these luminous personalities, beautiful demeanor, beautiful faces, beautiful glances, smiling looks, his fear subsides. As he looks, he realizes who they are. He realizes whose presence they are. Automatically, simultaneously, two people come forward. Imam Ali alayhi salam and the Holy Prophet is standing forward. The Holy Prophet holds back. Tradition says Imam Ali alayhi salam comes forward, reaches nearer to the deceased person, then turns to the Prophet and says, Ya Rasulullah, this man is my muhib. This man has the wilayat of mine. This man has the love of the Ahlul Bayt in him. As soon as he says this, he requests, I request you that his matter be dealt leniently and with comfort and ease. As soon as this matter reaches the Prophet, he then commands Malakul Maut. Malakul Maut, you will have to change your behavior, because this is not the person on whom your adab needs to be descended. This is not the person on whom you have to be strict. All of a sudden, the change of behavior becomes immediate on Malakul Maut. His behavior changes, his demeanor changes, his appearance changes. At that time when he was coming, flashes of lightning in his eyes, sound like thunder, now becomes meek, now becomes soft, now becomes comfortable. He goes to the man and says, you have been given the permission to rest in peace by the people who matter. You've been given the permission to be in ease by the people who matter. I have been commanded to be at ease with you. I will take your soul in a very simple way. I will take your soul in a very easy way. Remember that soul taking of a person so intense, after 99 years he still feels the pangs of that pain. But in this case, tradition says they will bring forth a flower, Malakul Maut, with 500 of his companions, with 500 of his angels come near him. He was with a default appearance. Now by the instruction of the Prophet, he undergoes a change. Now it is said a flower will be taken. A flower could be a rose, could be anything. It is taken to the mouth, to the nose of this person, and as he smells the fragrance of the flower, the soul comes out of the body. He doesn't realize how it has happened. Then after that, we don't want to go into what happens, how the soul is picked up, into what it is wrapped, where it is taken, whom it is shown first, how it comes down. Those are different issues. But right now, Malakul Maut in that form now wants to trouble him. Default it is that way. But then he is commanded by the Prophet that he belongs to the family of those who love the Ahlul Bayt. So behave with him differently. And this aspect is something that nothing should be doubted on. Let it not be felt. And when I say Prophet, the tradition says whoever, wherever, whenever, in whatever number people die, people will see Ali. Who has said this? Me? No, Ali himself has said it in a very long tradition to one of his very close companions. You see, Imams had levels of companions. All the companions were not of the same level. So at times you had companions like Malik Ashtar and Ammar and Miqdad. At times you had companions of various levels. Depending on their levels, the Imams would give them the information about Akhirah, about Islam, based on their level. So if they find a companion whose level of intelligence, whose level of ma'rifat, whose level of their understanding of the Ahlul Bayt were not very high, they would only give him some superficial stuff, some fiqh issues. Understand that this is enough for you. But certain individuals, like say for example, Kumail ibn Ziyad, those Imam knew were those companions whose level of understanding was far greater. Or Abu Basir, or Abu Hamza Somali. These were individuals with very great levels of understanding. So when you find that when Imam would be talking to them, his level of talking to them will be very high. Harith Hamadani was one of those people. One of a very lengthy tradition. Imam tells him, oh Harith, you know who about me? You know who I am? You know my realities? And he starts telling him everything about himself. One of the things that he says is, Harith, remember, I am one person who has got the authority. Every person who is living, every person who dies will see me. And that long tradition of his has been summarized by the poet when he says, Ya Hari Hamadan man yamut yarani min mu'minin wa munafiqin qabla. Whoever dies, O Harith, remember, whether he is mu'min, whether he is munafiq, whether he is in the UK, whether he is in Tanzania, wherever a person dies, he will see me. Don't doubt how does it happen. Because there is this always a rational concept. One man in one place. How can he be in so many places all over the world? Hope Malakul Maut, who is seizing the soul, can be in so many places when he is taking the soul. Ali cannot be in so many places. If Malakul Maut, so many people are dying at the same time at various locations. At any given moment of time, you have 10, 15, 20, 25 people all over the globe dying. That means Malakul Maut is taking their soul. If Malakul Maut can take 25 people's soul at that one instant in various corners of the globe, does his master Ali not have the authority by God to be in all these places when they are dying? Tell me. Ration good, logic good, but something needs to be given to the realities of life. He's saying, when they come over there, this behavior takes place. It is not something many internalize, like here you will see and you will hear many incidences. Because when these issues are there, there's always this apprehension. I have this apprehension. There's always this fear. I have this fear. That there would be people into the congregation, in the audience, who might say, these are all fantastic things. These don't work. These are all stories of the sheikhs from the mimbar. It's not stories, huh? These are realities. Stories, but real instances. And so whenever I find some issue very fantastic, I try to look for a tradition, for an incident that has taken place, reported by authority whom we can trust, then convey to you, look, when this is said, this has happened. There is this incident of a Nasibi. A Nasibi is a person who harbors enmity towards the Ahlul Bayt. That group is called Nawasib, plural form is Nawasib. Nawasib are those who harbor enmity towards the Ahlul Bayt. All our Sunni brothers don't harbor enmity towards the Ahlul Bayt. It's a very small group from the non-Shias who harbor actual enmity. They hate. One of the signs of the day of Akhirah, nearing the day of judgment, is a time will come when this group of Nasibin and the Nawasib will increase dramatically. It will increase dramatically to such an extent that anybody with the name of Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, not just banned down, killed. Anyone with the name of Ali killed. That is called Nasibi. Tradition says a time will come nearing to the dhuhr of Imam Mahdi. This will become the state. Anybody with the name of Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, not safe. Life not safe. Apparently, there's a certain county or town between the border of Iran and Pakistan where a village has come up in this way that nobody is allowed to keep this name. Details some other time. But this Nawasib is incident. One of the Shias of the 6th Imam has a friend. Has a friend who's a Nasibi. Has a friend who was the enemy of the Ahlul Bayt. Was on terms with him, talking terms. Whenever the talk would come, he would always be very abusive to the Ahlul Bayt. Unfortunately, this Shia happened to be his friend. Time comes, now this the narrator is narrating. He's saying, I saw this man at his deathbed. When I came to know he was about to die, I visited him. As I was visiting, I saw he was lying. Standing aside at a distance, I saw his lips moving. I felt he was talking something, but it was not loud enough for me to hear. The family members were around. I was standing there. Nobody was able to comprehend what he was saying. So because I was friend, I went forward. I bent down to listen. As he bent down to listen, the Rabbi saying, I heard him utter one sentence. And that sentence was kept uttering. He kept uttering and repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. What was the sentence? He kept saying, Mali walaka ya Ali. Mali walaka ya Ali. What was wrong with me that I went against you, Ali? What was wrong with me that I went against you, Ali? What was wrong with me that I went against you, Ali? This man did not understand. What is he talking about? The whole life he was against Ali. Now he's saying, Mali walaka ya Ali. What was wrong that I opposed you, Ali? As he's over there, after some time he receives news, he dies away. But that word is still in his mind. Mali walaka ya Ali. Why was he repeatedly uttering these words? He goes to the 6th Imam. Yabna Rasulullah. This is the situation. I went to this Nasibi. I heard him say it. What was he talking about? He says, Imam thrice says, Ra'ahu wallahi wa rabbil Kaaba. Ra'ahu wa rabbil Kaaba. Ra'ahu wa rabbil Kaaba. By the Lord of the house, by the Lord of the Kaaba, he saw Ali at the time when he was dying. And when he saw Ali at the time, he was seeing those things that the person is not supposed to see in his life. And he saw the stature of Ali after death. He saw the stature of Ali in the barzakh. And then he realized what a mess he had made. Saying, why did I ever oppose you in my lifetime? And this is not only with respect to the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. Because when they come to the bedside of a person who's about to die, if he is good, then they help out. If he is bad, then they just withdraw. They say, hi, I leave you to them, to Munkar and Nakir, whatever they want to do, they do. There is this incident of one poet of Ahlul Bayt by the name of Sayyid Himyari. Sayyid Himyari was a Sayyid. And he was the follower of the Ahlul Bayt. This was several years after the period of the Imams. Very muhib of Ahlul Bayt, always reciting the shair and poems and couplets in the madh and praise of Ahlul Bayt. All along, whenever in his lifetime he would be praising the Ahlul Bayt, the opposition, the others, non-Shias would always tell him, what is this? You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time with praising Ali. He is not the real follower, he is not the real successor of the Prophet. And he would say, leave my aqidah to me, leave my faith to me. Till time comes when he's about to die. When he's about to die, he lived in a colony that was partly Shia and partly non-Shia, followers of one of the elders of some other sects. As he is lying onto the bed, again see, we're talking about the time when a person is dying, and we will see at what stages the Ahlul Bayt come. Tradition says, this incident says, Sayyid Himyari is lying on the bed, about to die. You can see the signs of death on his face. When all of a sudden people, when they're watching him, they see one black spot emanate on his forehead. That black spot that emanates from his forehead begins to increase. As it begins to increase, it covers his whole forehead, and then goes on to his face and begins to cover his face. In a very short time, that face of Sayyid Himyari became dark, gloomy. As soon as this was seen, those people said, look Sayyid, I told you. Ali, you were doing in this world. This is what Ali is giving you. This is what is the consequence of following somebody who is not correct. Now when they were taunting him, there were also the Shias. They were feeling hurt, because now they're subjected to humiliation. That this man, you always say Ali helps, Ahlul Bayt help, Ahlul Bayt help, their love helps, their love helps. What happened? Look at his face. This itself is a sign that he's going to have a very bad consequential end. When this was going on, Sayyid Himyari, now he's almost on the verge of dying, he realizes what has happened, and his eyes fill up with tear. And this narration reports that as soon as he realizes and hears the taunts, his eyes fill up with tear. He's crying now. That, what is this that is happening to me? Saying all he does is gets up. He sits up, saying he turns toward Najaf and says, he just utters one sentence. This narration says he just utters one sentence. أَهَكَذَا يُفْعَلُوا بِأَوْلِيَائِكَ. He turns to Najaf and says, is this how you behave with those who love you? Narration says he says this, he goes on to his pillow. The moment his head rests on the pillow, people see a white spot emanating from his forehead. And that white spot begins to increase and begins to increase and begins to increase till it envelops his entire face, his face now shining like the moon. As soon as it shines on the moon, he gives up his life. He doesn't die right now. As soon as his face becomes bright, people are around the Shias now see what is happening. They turn to those people who were taunting them. Their faces droop. These people become happy. Sayyid Himyari happy. He gets up again, recites 2 couplets in the favor and in the praise of Ahlul Bayt, and Ali goes down onto the bed and passes away. Recite Nare. Let's move further. This is just before death. Now after that, when a person is put into the grave, every step, a tradition from the Holy Prophet is saying, whoever has got the Ahlul Bayt, love of the Ahlul Bayt. In this tradition mentions some stations where they will come. Say at the time of death they will there. In the grave they will be with you. When the questioning answering of the Munkar and Nakir is there, they will be there. When you are raised, they will be with you. When you are accounting, they will be with you. When the book is given to you, they will be with you. When you are on the Pul Sirat, they will be with you. When you are about to enter paradise or hell, they will be with you. Wherever you are there, and in those most delicate and the most dangerous of the occasions, you will find Ahlul Bayt waiting to hold your hand. Let's move into the grave. Because this was before death. In the grave it is said, one of the realities of Islam, one of the essentials of Islam, one of the haqaiq of Islam is that something which I mentioned in the second or the third lecture, which is referred to as the embodiment of deeds, or the personification of deeds. Means what? Means that the actions, the acts that a person does in this world on the day of judgment will not just appear as writing. You've eaten, no, not you. People have eaten the money of orphans. On the day of judgment, this will not just come as Sheikh had eaten the money of orphans. It will come in a form and in a shape that is commensurate and that is in accordance with the real world. Quran says when somebody eats an orphan's property, that money that is there will not come in the form of money. When you take somebody's property, what do? You eat at times, right? Burgers, chips, Azad Pan Shop, right? Saying on the day of judgment that money that goes into the stomach will not appear as burgers and chips. They will appear as fire. Fi butunihim nara, Quran says. This is called personification of deeds. Deeds will take a form and then appear before you. And that is why one of the traditions says, when a person is being taken from his death, when he dies in the house or wherever, and he's taken into the graveyard, beside him, if he's a sinner person, a dog who keeps following him. Imam is saying a dog will keep following him. What is the characteristic of that dog? What he does? How is the state? What are the details? No. That's not the time. But a dog will follow him. When the Imam is asked, what is that dog? Imam says, this dog is the evil acts that he performed is now being given the shape of this dark, foul-smelling, gnarling and ferocious dog that will be with this person in the grave till the time he is resurrected. Forms are given. God says we will not deal with abstract things. We will show you the reality of your deeds. They will be with you. Good deeds, good forms. Bad deeds, bad forms. Ahlul Bayt, good, look at the form that comes. Tradition says when a person is put into the grave, at that time, before Munkar and Nakir comes, and before the questioning begins, he is in a grave in an environment very different from what he is used to. Now he's not sitting in an AC room in front of a plasma television on a sofa set, with a coke in his hand. There things are entirely different. It's dark, it's frightening, it's fearful, it's lonely, and it's very, very constrained. In this state, now he's confused. What do I do? He knows things are going to happen, but he doesn't know what. He's waiting for the events to unfold because he's just been put into the grave. He's been covered. He's waiting, what should I do? What will happen? Completely filled with fear. Never in this scenario. Try to go into a qabristan one night at 10:30 at night, when the rustling of the leaves and the blowing of the wind and the darkness of the night, at that time when you stand near, forget about going down. At certain moment of time, the social animal finds himself in a room that is 6 feet by 4 feet. 6 feet under the earth, enclosed and covered, nobody with him, no light, no nothing, and the apprehension of the unexpected, killing him. At that time, all of a sudden, he will see 6 lights around him. They will enter his grave. One light will position himself to his right. Another illumination will position himself to his left. One will be near his front of him, in front of him. One will be behind him. One will station himself near his legs. One will station himself near the head. But these 6 people, 6 forms, not people, because these are embodiments, these are not individuals. 6 forms will position themselves in this manner. But there's a difference. Difference between 5 forms and difference between 1 form. So out of these 6 things or 6 forms that come, 5 of them will be ordinary, bright, luminous, radiant and fragrance, having a good fragrance. But one of them, tradition says, ahsanahum wajhatan, more beautiful, wa atyabuhum libasan, and more beautiful in clothes, and more beautiful in fragrance, and more beautiful in appearance, and more beautiful in talk. It is as if it's overshadowing all the other 5. Minus this, those are very bright, very nice, very soothing to the heart. But this one overshadows everything. It's positioned near the head. Tradition says when this comes, he's surprised. But then now when Adab is entering or will be wanting to enter into the grave, whenever the punishment of the fire or the snakes or the scorpions now want to attack him because of his deeds, the one on the right side will protect it. Don't come here. It will prevent the Adab from coming. If the Adab were to come from the left side, the figure on the left side will protect him. If the punishment is coming from the top, from the side, from the head, all these 5 luminous figures will protect them and ward off the punishment. He feels safe. He sees them coming. He sees these figures warding them off from all the directions. When they have warded off, now he has a feeling of tranquility and calmness. I am safe. Now when he realizes he is safe, he turns to them and says, Man antum, who are you? You've been helping me out. You've been protecting me. Adab coming from the right, you form on the right, you protected me. Adab coming from the left, you form on the left, protected me. when he starts to ask them, they will start answering. The one on the right will say, I am your salat that you prayed in this world. God put me into this form and has kept me over here to protect you from the punishment of the grave. He will turn to the left. Who are you? He says, Ana siyamukum. I am your fast that you fasted in this world. God has given me this form that you have given me. The one towards the leg will say, I am your zakat. The one towards the front will say, I am your hajj and umrah. Then he will turn to the one towards his head. Who are you? You are the most beautiful of them all. You are the most powerful of them all. You are the most fragrant of them all. You are the most luminous of them all. You are the most handsome of them all. Who are you? You completely seem to overshadow the others. You completely seem to eclipse all the others. They say, Ana wilayatu Ali ibn Abi Talib. I am that love of Ali and the Ahlul Bayt that was there in your heart. Allah put me into this form to save you from the trials and tribulations of the grave. Every step that they come, they are there to help us. While it is said, Mutamassikina bi wilayati Ali ibn Abi Talib, this is what it means. This is what it means. We adhere to them, we stick to them, we cling to them, then we can be assured of their help. But again, bishartiha wa shurutiha. Always there are conditions. Let's move further. This is still just the issue of the grave. But when you go into the grave, you start with barzakh. When you go into barzakh, there is a different level for the Ahlul Bayt. And I'll give you one incident. Not for all the Ahlul Bayt. I'm not picking up individuals. Tonight, the night of Hussein, we will talk about the barzakh of what happens to individuals related to Hussein alayhi salam. This incident refers, you have a person living in this world. Then you've got the Akhirah Qiyamah. When a person dies, from the time he dies till the time he is raised, that portion is called barzakh. You all might know, I'm talking to my young brothers. When a person dies, he's put into the grave. From that time till the time he is made to rise up on the day of judgment, that period is called barzakh. In English it's called the purgatory. In purgatory you live a life just as we live a life in this world. There is color, there is taste, there is anxiety, there is fear, there is pain, there is happiness, there is ecstasy, there is sorrow, there is everything. Except there is no weight. This is weight. There is no weight. You can compare it similar to a life like the dreams. You dream something, you experience happiness, you experience sadness, you experience fear, you experience taste, you experience ecstasy, but there is no weight, there is no matter as such. In the barzakh, people live a life. Good life, bad life. Again, not the topic of discussion, it's already been discussed last year. But people, depending upon their behavior in this world, have different lives over there. This incident refers to those individuals who have gone for the ziyarat of Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. Narration by one of the Manaji of olden times. He is referring to one Hujjatul Islam al-Muslimin, saying this man, this scholar, had a habit. In olden times, people in Najaf and Karbala are very, very passionate about the ziyarat of Hussein. Very passionate. This scholar living in Najaf. Hussein is in Karbala, the Haram of Hussein. This scholar had a habit. In Hausa, if you know, Thursdays and Fridays are usually holidays. So they study from Saturday to Wednesday. Thursday and Fridays are holidays. This scholar had a habit. From the time he was young, every Thursday morning after Namaz al-Subh, finish his Salat, finish the Taqibat, finish his breakfast, start from Najaf to Karbala. At those times, this tradition that reported, this riwayat that reported of this incident, stated it was 54 miles at that time. Then it expands, the city enlarges. Saying distance from Najaf to Karbala, 54 miles. Every Thursday morning after Namaz al-Subh and his breakfast, he would walk. He would walk from Najaf to Karbala. Go to Karbala, do the ziyarat. On Friday, do the ziyarat. Come up in time for the night. For the next day morning, Saturdays, lectures to start and studies to start. It was his habit. Years he would do that. On foot, 54 kilometers going on foot, 54 kilometers coming on foot. This is one of the sunnah that is there amongst the ulama over there. And that is why even now you will find that at the time of Ashura, at the time of Arba'in, people gather in Najaf, gather a delegation into a delegation, walk from Najaf to Karbala. This was his habit. Time passed, he would become old. When he would become old, it would affect his health. So people would tell him, Sheikh, you become old. At times heat, at times cold. Heat of Karbala and Najaf. Why do you want to do that? You don't have to go on foot. And you don't have to go every week. Hussein knows your sentiments. Hussein knows your feeling. Why do you want to do that? He gave an ajib reply. He's saying, after having seen that scene and after having visualized that scenario, you want me not to go? He didn't say why he's going. He's saying, after visualizing that scenario that I saw, now you want me again not to go? Sheikh, what scenario are you talking about? I'm just asking you, why are you going so much and troubling yourself? Go once in a month, go on horse, go on a mule. You don't have to go every Thursday on foot, every week. Don't trouble yourself so much. He says, after having seen that scenario, now you still want me to go, not to go? So these people say, what scenario are you talking about? What did you see? Saying, listen. One day as I was going on my normal routine and schedule to go to Karbala from Najaf on Thursday, as I was going, I picked up my water bag. Because the distance was long, it was the time of summer, very hot in Iraq. He's saying, as I was wanting to go, I picked up my water bag, I filled up with water and started on my journey. As usual, started walking. It was intensely hot, intensely hot, intensely hot, as it is said for the day of Ashura. The day of Ashura was said to be intensely hot, hotter than normal, intensely hotter than normal. This was a very hot day. As he's going, he's saying, I began to feel thirsty. So I said, let me drink some water. But I realized the distance was very long. And if I drank my water, I might fall short of water before I reach Karbala. So he said, I did not drink water. I endured. Till a time came, I could not endure. I said, no, I have to drink water. Let me consume a few sips and gulps, and then I will keep the remaining for the remainder of the journey. Saying, I opened my bag, no water. The heat was so much, the water evaporated. Wow, Waila. Najaf still far, more than half the distance. This intense heat, I was conserving the water so that it would help me reach Najaf. Now when I open the water, no water. Saying, Ajab now. He begins to walk. He's saying that heat was so much, thirst was so overwhelming, that a few minutes I walked, my eyes were overcome with darkness. A curtain of blackness came across. I fell down unconscious. Then he's narrating, I open my eyes because I feel some cool air hitting my face. So I get up, and as I look around, amazement and surprise. Saying, what does he see? Saying, I remember leaving from Karbala, Najaf to Karbala, no water, intense heat. I fall down in the desert. Now cool air. He looks around. See, he finds himself in a garden. Lush garden. Trees, beautiful. Birds chirping, rivers flowing, absolutely amazing, beautiful to the nth degree. He turns around, he sees certain individuals, beautiful clothes, crowns on the head, faces illuminated and radiant, sitting at a place on a dinner table, various and innumerable delicacies laid out. Wondering, what place is this? So many decades I've been going from Najaf to Karbala. In between Najaf and Karbala, I never saw this place. As I look around, they call me, come here, Sheikh, we're waiting for you. He goes there. Automatically, the first question that would come, where is this place? Where am I? He's saying, Sheikh, don't ask, you're thirsty, drink some water. He's saying, tell me, where am I? He's saying, we will tell you in time, drink this water. He's saying, water came to me. I drank water, ajab water this is. The water, the likes of which I've never tasted in my life. So sweet, so cool, so salubrious, that I've never tasted such water in my life. That region between Karbala and Najaf, forget about a good water. Water is not available. I'm asking them, tell me where I am. He's saying, come and sit down, Sheikh, what is the hurry? I sit down, they give me some delicacies, but that curiosity of mine, this overtakes me. He's saying, tell me what is this place? He's saying, if I tell you, this thing is going to terminate now. He's saying, I want to know what is this place. He's saying, this is the barzakh of the people who have gone for the ziyarat of Hussein to Karbala. This is the place, this is the barzakh where people after the death will go, those people who have gone for the ziyarat of Hussein to Karbala. He's saying, after seeing this, you still want me not to go to ziyarat of Karbala on foot? What are you talking about? This is where they come, the Ahlul Bayt. But let us move forward. After the barzakh, the time comes that when you are raised. And as you are raised, the first thing that is there will be the giving of the books we discussed. We are trying to link the movements of the Ahlul Bayt in their help to us according to how we have proceeded in our discussion. The next step is the raising up of man, whereby then he is going to be shown the book of deeds. Right now I will show you how the Ahlul Bayt will help us. Near the end of the lecture I will tell you their maqam, their azamah of how Allah will present them to us on the Day of Judgment. You listen to them and then you know, you can't imagine what they are. You can't imagine them. Saying on the Day of Judgment the books will be given. Remember we had said one thing, that the books that will be given will not be given by anybody, Tom, Dick and Harry. Every person will be given by the book, will be given the book of deeds by the Imam. You other followers, they will give you. You follow them in this world, they will give you. You listen to them and follow their commands, they will give you the book. Whatever is in it, now it is upon you and them. On the Day of Judgment, when this book is going to be given, it is said, all the muhibbeen of Ahlul Bayt will be given the book by their respective Imams. Those people living at the time of Ali will be given by Imam Ali. Those living at the time of the 6th Imam will be given by Imam Sadiq. Those living at the time of Imam Rida will be given the book by Imam Rida. You and me will be meeting our Imam Mahdi Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajuh. Ya Khuda. This kid says there's 15 minutes left. I'm not just 40% through my lecture. You'll have to rush fast. It will be given by our 12th Imam. What more could you want for deliverance than to be given a book on the basis of which that we will be accounted by God to be given to us by our Imam? What more consolation do we want that we've passed through? What more guarantee do we want? What more tranquility of the heart do we want? That we know that the Imam of God is giving the book. Tubalakum, this is your beneficiary. This is the book who is going to benefit you. You're the beneficiary of this. But let's move further. From the accounting from the book, now the Hisab and Kitab will come. And that Hisab and Kitab is an ajib situation, because every man will be accounted by God. Every person will think that God is talking to me alone. Every person will think that He's accounting to me alone, whereas Allah is accounting to the entire universe at the same time. This is God. No limitations. No dependence on anybody. Independent. Wallahu huwal ghaniyul hamid. When the accounting is taking place, there are two ways tradition says the accounting of the Shia will take place. One tradition says that when the Hisab, let me just reverse back and rewind. When the accounting will take place between man and God, one thing that is there is the accounting of the Shias will be started by God, will not end by God. Accounting will start. We will stand in the mahazar of God. The accounting will start. It will not end with God. Because when this is happening, at one time, it will be told, you have the Wilayat of Ali, you have the Muhabbat of Sadiq, you have the Muhabbat of Taqi. Tradition says, on the Day of Judgment, when the accounting will commence. وَكَّلَنَا اللَّهُ حِسَابَ الشِّيعَتِنَا. It will be said, you are the Muhib of Ahlul Bayt. I will not take your accounting. Ali will take your accounting. You are the Muhib of Sadiq. I will not account for you. Sadiq will account for you. Then Imam Sadiq says, Imam Ali says, the tradition of the Prophet says, that when the affairs of my Shia will come to us, now it's a different scenario altogether. It is not God who is accounting us. It is the Ahlul Bayt who are accounting for us. when they are accounting for us, they will look at our deeds, they will look at the demeanors and the offenses and the crimes and the actions of the Ahlul Bayt. They will say, tradition says, when we refer the book of Shaykh, we find he has oppressed, he has done something that God has not asked him to do, he has violated the rulings of God. They will turn to God and say, God, I am doing the accounting of the Shaykh. This poor Shaykh has nobody except us. They had the wilayat of us within him, he had the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt within him. We are requesting you something. God will say, yes, what are you requesting? They will say, he has done something wrong, he has violated Haqqullah, he has violated your rights. Allah will say, what do you want? They say, for the sake of Sadiq, for the sake of this beard of Ali, forgive your rights, O Allah. Allah will say, done, forgiven. So what about the other things? What about the things that they have violated your rights and the rights of the others? They will say, Allah, give us opportunity that we repay the things that they have to repay, and we pay the things that they are supposed to pay, so that they don't have anything to pay for. Allah will say, done, do whatever you want. They say all the things that have to be done by this person to be protecting him from going to hell. Somebody coming, he has taken their money. Somebody coming, he has hurt them. Somebody coming, he has slapped them. Individually the imams will call them and will give them thawab upon the authority of God. They will go away happy, they will leave Shaykh alone. Imam will tell us, Shaykh, go to paradise. What do we want more from them? At times tradition even says, they will intervene. They say, Allah, give his affairs. And Allah will say, I am giving you ja'altu umurahum ilaykum. I have given their deeds to them. Do whatever you want. If you want, send them to paradise bighayri hisab. Ajib the sentences. Allah says, if you want to send them into paradise without hisab, send them. Sadiq, I will not tell you anything. Rada, you have sacrificed your entire life for me. I can do this much, give you complete authority. Words say, bighayri hisab, without accounting. You want to send them, send them. I will not interfere today. But the reason that he will not interfere is not because he knows that they will do whatever they want. Ma yasha'una illa ma Allah. These are those individuals who do not behave in any other way except what God wants them to behave. So the trust of God is there. The confidence of the God is there that they will do exactly that I am pleased with. But they are there to help us. They are there to care for us. Let us move further. This is just the accounting. From the accounting comes the shafa'at. Because at the time when they are saying, God, forgive him, that is what is called shafa'at. Intercession. Telling God, God, please don't do with adalat with this guy. If you behave with adalat, if you behave with justice, this man is going to rot in hell. Add the mercy of yours to your adalats. And it is said, a time will come when people will find themselves in intense problem, a very strict accounting. They don't know what to do. Tradition says they'll first go to their father, Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, saying, Adam, please save us. He's saying, no. Go to Nuh. They'll go to Nuh. No, say no. Ibrahim. Go to Ibrahim. Say no. Musa. Isa. Tradition says when everybody go to Isa, Isa will say there's only one place, one person who can help you. Who? The Holy Prophet. He is the only one now in this case that you are there, you stand and will be able to help you. They go to the Holy Prophet. When they go to the Holy Prophet, Prophet says, yes, what happened? Say, Ya Rasulullah, help us. Saying, I will help you. Tradition says he will take them. He will go to a place called Babur Rahma. How it is, where it is, what it is, I don't know. It is said Babur Rahma. He will go there. As he goes there, he will tell the others, stop. Others will stop. Over there, at that point, the Holy Prophet will go into sajda. He says, Ya Rabbi, oh my Lord, this servant of yours is prostrating and bowing his head before you in submission. The word will come out. What do you want, Abdi? What do you want? Saying, I want you to forgive them. He's saying, Irfa arasak. Words of the tradition. Irfa arasak. Raise your heads, O my Habib. What do you want? I want them to be forgiven. Forgive and take them wherever you want. You bowed your head to me. That is enough for me. Take them and take them wherever you want. You go to Sirat, you go to Jahannam, wherever you go, you find them standing. After the accounting, you want to go to Sirat, the pool, we will discuss on Tuesday. You go to the pool, it said, nobody can cross this bridge. What that bridge is, how that bridge is, details of it on Tuesday. Nobody can cross it. Tradition says, إذا كان يوم القيامة نصب على الجهنم صراع الصراط لا يجوز عليها أحد إلا معه جواز فيه ولاية علي بن أبي طالب. He said, on the day of judgment, above the Jahannam leading to Jannah, there will be a bridge that will be placed. Everybody who wants to go to paradise has to cross this bridge. They will be asked, watch and go on this bridge. It is said, tradition says, nobody will be able to cross this bridge unless and until he's got a permission. That permission is Vilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Muhabbat of Ali in your heart, go! No, I stay back. Or fall down. Fall down where? Tuesday. You go there, from there to Jahannam. You want to identify, where are you going to go? Where am I supposed to go? So don't worry. Shias, you don't have to worry. Why? Because you have the love of Ali, na? You have the love of Ali, don't worry. Why? Because the one whom you love is going to send people to paradise or hell. Ali Qasimul Jannati wan Nar. He's the one who will distribute the paradise. Oh, you Shia, go to paradise. Qasimul Jannati wan Nar. And then come to the last point. When we are coming, the azamat of the Holy Prophet over there. Tradition says, right now we heard what they would do, but we need to know their grandeur. On the day of judgment, the Prophet says, because we want to go to the Masab of Ali Akbar, right? We want to know the zulm that has been done. In order to know the zulm that has been done, we need to know the rank. The rank is this. On the day of judgment, very fast. Tradition says, the Prophet, all the angels are there, all the people are there, all the malaika are there, all the prophets, all the awsiya, all the imams. The Prophet says, إِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ نُصِبَ لِي أَمَّنْبَرْ. A mimbar will be praised for me. A mimbar of 1,000 steps. It will be told to me, Habibi, oh Rasulullah, climb on it. Say, I will climb on the 1,000 step. I will sit down over there. The entire mahshar before me. I'm standing over here, sitting on that mimbar, 1,000 steps. Everybody is looking. The highest person over there right now is the Prophet. At that time, Jibreel will come. Jibreel will come and say, this is the rank that has been promised to you in Surah Isra, when Allah says, Asa an yab'athaka Allahu maqama mahmuda. Maybe God will give you a lofty rank. He says that rank that was given, promised to you in Surah Isra in the world is this. You're going to stand on 1,000 pillars, everybody subservient to you, you're going to be on top. As he goes on top, he sits down, after Jibreel goes, tradition says, Prophet will call out to Ali, Ali come. Climb on to the 999 steps, sit down over here. The second step from top is sitting down. As they are sitting, suddenly Ridwan will come. Ridwan is the caretaker of paradise. He will bring the entire keys of paradise and he will give it to the Prophet. Ya Rasulullah, these are the keys to paradise. Make enter whomever you want to enter in paradise. This is yours. This is that maqam mahmud that Allah has promised you in the world. Whomsoever you want, put them into paradise. The entire keys at your disposal. Tradition says, as soon as the Holy Prophet receives it, he will say, Ya Ali khud hada. Take this. This is for you. I will not determine who will go to paradise. You will determine. As soon as Ridwan goes away, Malik comes. Malik is the caretaker of Jahannam with that entire bunch of keys. He's saying, Ya Rasulullah, I've been ordered to give the keys of Jahannam to you. Make enter into Jahannam whomsoever you want to make them enter. Your enemies, the enemies of Hussein, the enemies of Ali, the enemies of the Ummah, make them enter. Nobody will question you. As soon as he takes it, he turns to Ali. Tradition says, he drops it into Ali's lap. Ali, now Jannah and Jahannam are under your control. And at that time, tradition says, he turns to Ali and says, Ali, today paradise and the fire of hell is more obedient to you and me than a slave is to his master. As this goes on, suddenly a sound comes. Ghudhube ya ma'ashar al-mahshar. A sound will come, terrifying sound. O people of Mahshar, ghudhube absarikum, lower your eyes because Fatima, the daughter of Prophet, is passing by. At that time when Fatima passes by, Prophet will tell, Allah will tell her, a voice will come. Ya bint Habibi, oh the daughter of my Habib, go straight into paradise. Fatima will go. As she is nearing paradise, she will stop. She will turn. She will say, certain things have been done to me and my sons. Allah will say, I know what has been done to you and your sons. And today I want to show the entire world what is the rank of the Ahlul Bayt in my eyes. You, Fatima, I am allowing you to enter into paradise. But not just like this. Turn to this entire people that are there. Ask your father to help you. Pick up every single person that is your son, that is your follower, that is your muhib, that loved you, that loved your children, that cried over you, that helped your cause. Pick up single person. Take them up, take them into paradise. I'm going to turn my face away. I will not even start the accounting of the day of judgment till you take all your people and enter them into paradise. The words are, Lam yuhasib al-khalq hatta tadkhulil jannah. I will not start the accounting of the people till you pick up individuals, your muhibbin, your Ahlul Bayt, your muhibbin, your followers, the people who loved you. Pick them up, take them into paradise. Now I will start my work. This is the Ahlul Bayt that we know. No, this is the Ahlul Bayt that we need to know. There is no despondency when they come, but as I said last night, these things should not also make a person audacious. These things also should not make us comfortable that, oh, we've got Fatima to help us, now we do whatever we want. No, everything with shartiha or shurutiha. We tend to fall back, we tend to stumble, they are there to help us. We tend to stand in opposition to God, they will just turn away from us. Because the criteria that has always been set in this tradition is the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. And the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt doesn't mean we call ourselves the Shia. The Shia of the Ahlul Bayt means those whom they say are our Shias. And this is the problem. We may call ourselves the Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. That is not important. Important is, are they telling us that you are our Shia? But this entire scenario that is going to take place, the blemish that is there on humanity is the incident of Karbala. Because Karbala, this beats all logic, if you want to look at it logically. A battle unequal. Thousands on that side, hundreds on this side. If you look at the entire figure, it's less than 150. 72 are the Bani Hashim. But those people that are fighting are also amazing. They consist of people of various ages. So you find an old man, 60 odd years, of Habib ibn Madahir, and you find a small child, 6-month-old, fighting. But at times you find that the fight of the 6-month-old child overwhelms all the other fights. At times overwhelms even the fight of Akbar and Qasim and Abbas. Because the effect that Asghar brought into the army of Yazid was not brought even by Abbas. The change. Nobody cried for Abbas from the forces of Yazid. But you know the situation of this 6-month-old boy. 3 days no water, 72 hours. I told you around 3-4 days back. I will tell you what was the condition of Asghar. I will tell you tonight. 3 days no water, 3 days water is gone. Not just the water. Because of no water, the milk of the mother has dried. Rabab, there's no milk. Now this child doesn't have food, doesn't have water, doesn't have milk. On the night Shabe Ashoor, understand, I want to tell you something and I want to imagine what will happen another few hours later. At around midnight, a Rabab comes running outside the tent of Zainab. Zainab is inside. She sees somebody at the door. Says, Man fil bab, who's at the door? Saying, Ana Rabab. I'm Rabab. Princess, come inside. What is it at this time of the night? He's saying, I got very bad news for you. Saying, what? He's saying, I feel my Asghar has died. I feel my Asghar has died. Now this is a mother who's talking about the child. A mother one person who knows most about the child is the mother. 24 hours the child is with her. But now the state of Asghar with 3 days of hunger and thirst and no milk was such an extent that even one lady who is so much more conversant with the child thinks the child is dead. Saying, Shahzadi Princess, Akbar is gone up. Zainab says, no, he cannot have died. Saying, no, I see him, he's lifeless, he's just dead. He's saying, no, Rabab, he cannot have died because just yesterday Hussein was sitting with me and writing down the list of the people who will become martyred on the day of Ashura. Asghar's name is there for Ashura, not tonight. He could not have died. I want to ask you this, I want to tell you one thing. This mother, this is midnight we are talking about on Shabe Ashoor tonight. Midnight, this is the state of Asghar that the mother thinks she is dead. That he is dead. When did Akbar actually die? In the Asr Ashur, say around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. From 12 midnight to 12 in the afternoon, 12 hours. Another 4 hours, 16 hours. This state at 12 o'clock, the mother is thinking Asghar has died. What would happen 16 hours hence? What would have been Akbar's state at that time? Ajib situation. But the day begins. As the day begins, the battle starts. Till that time reaches that everybody is gone. Akbar is gone. Qasim is gone. Oh no, Muhammad is gone and Abbas is gone. Now Hussein is alone. As he's alone, he starts off with his istighatha, the call for help. He climbs on a small little elevation and he gives the call for istighatha. Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anybody who's there to help us? Hal min mughithin yughithuna. Is there anybody who can grant us shelter? Now when Hussein is asking for help, he uses 3 sentences. One, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. Is there anybody to help us? Then is a Hal min mughithin yughithuna. Is there anybody who can grant us shelter? And then he uses a third one. Up to the 2 sentences, Asghar is in the tent. He is on the cradle, in a state as if lifeless. The mother 12 o'clock at night, last night, felt he was dead. Now it is at the time of Asr. I don't know how Asghar would be, but I would definitely know his state would be worse off than what it was last night. Up to the time Hussein says, Hal min nasirin yansurana, there was no movement of Asghar. As soon as he said, Hal min mughithin yughithuna, there was no movement of Asghar. The moment Hussein said, Hal min dhabin yadhubbu an harame Rasulillah, is there anybody to protect the veil of Zainab? Is there anybody to protect the izzat of Ahlul Bayt? As soon as he heard this, Asghar moves, he puts himself down from the cradle. Oh Baba, there is somebody still there to care for the veil of Zainab. There is still somebody to care for the hijab of Zainab. As soon as Akbar falls down, Zainab begins to weep. Zainab begins to weep loudly. Bakat besautin al. She started to cry with a loud voice. As soon as Hussein comes to know, he hears the sound, he comes to the tent. Why are you crying, Sister Zainab? He said, as soon as you called out for help, Asghar overturned himself onto the ground. He's saying, give me. I know his state is bad. Let me take him. Probably they might give him some water. He goes inside. Zainab picks up. Zainab gives him the child. As he's about to go out, Rabab calls, Aka, can I just have Asghar for a few minutes? Give Asghar to me for a few minutes. Hussein says, you've changed your mind about sending Asghar? He's saying, no, upon you, thousands of Asghar be qurban. Thousands of Asghar be sacrificed. Just give him to me for a minute. She takes him to the corner of the tent. She ties a band on his head, folds up his sleeves, ties a rumal, a handkerchief on the waist. Then she takes him and gives it to Hussein. Hussein, my Asghar has become a soldier now. You wanted to take him for jihad. Now I made him a soldier. Take him and sacrifice him for the sake of Fatima Zahra. He takes Asghar. As he goes outside, he says, look, approaching the enemy tent, he's saying, I don't want any water for myself. But look at my son. Look at my son. Look at the state. Will you give him water?
No reply. He's saying, Haya, understand, you think I'm using Asghar to get water for myself? I'm putting Asghar down. He puts Asghar down, comes back, he says, now give him. No reply. He picks up Asghar again and says, Asghar, these people will not believe like this. I want you to, you're the Hujjat of God. Show them your thirst. Having said this, Asghar begins to move his dried tongue upon his parched lips. Tradition says, when the forces saw this, they put their hands under their abba and began to weep. The entire structure of Umar Assad's army, convoluted, chaos, a small child with thirst, and we are not supposed to give him water. Signs of rebellion brewing within the camp. Signs of revolt brewing. As soon as he saw this, Umar Assad comes out. Aina Hurmala. Where is Hurmala? Hurmala comes. Yes, Aka, what is it? He's saying, Iqfa Kalam Hussain. Shut up Hussein's tongue. Shut up his talk. You know what it means? He's saying, keep Hussein quiet. Hussein's quiet means to kill Hussein. Now this tongue is in the mouth. Mouth is on the face. Face is on the neck. Meaning what? Hurmala, take out the neck of Hussein. Hurmala sits down, takes out his arrow, a three-pronged arrow. He's about to put an aim. Aims for the neck of Hussein. While this is happening, Rabab is standing in the tent. Rabab, you know who she is? Rabab was the daughter of Imra'ul Qais. There are two Imra'ul Qais. One Imra'ul Qais is a poet. One Imra'ul Qais was a Christian tribe according to one tradition. He was the prince. Rabab is his daughter. The characteristic of Imra'ul Qais was that he was a very good archer. And reports say he would close his eyes and would be able to shoot at targets. So good. Rabab was his only child. And he taught his entire skill and expertise of war with arrows to Rabab. Rabab is a skillful archer. As she is watching from the tent, she sees Hurmala pick out that three-pronged arrow. She knows this is for killing a horse, not for killing a neck. But as he sits down, he takes the aim. There the door of the tent begins to move. Rabab is watching. As Hurmala takes the aim, he lets the arrow fly with the aim of getting Hussein's neck. Rabab is watching the arrow fly. She calls out, "Hey Ali Asghar, if this arrow touches Hussein, I will never forgive you." As soon as she says this, tradition says Asghar jumps up. He comes before Hussein. The arrow pierces the neck from this side to this side into his hands of Hussein, clings up. Hussein looks at the child, stuck to his hands, looks to the skies, doesn't know what to do. Takes out Asghar. Asghar, I'm going to take out this arrow. Do not move. Do not move. He takes out the arrow. As the arrow comes out, a fountain of blood comes out. Hussein takes the blood, puts it on his face. Asghar in the hand. Ya Allah, on the day of judgment, I will stand in front of my grandfather. This is what your ummah has done to me. Takes the small child, doesn't know what to do. Should I go in the tent? The Rabab's face comes into a mind. What will happen to the mother? He goes forward. He comes back. He wants to go to the tent. Changes his mind. Comes back. Tomorrow you will say in the Amal of Ashura, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un ridan bi qada'ihi wa tasliman li amri. He takes Asghar in his hand, makes a firm opinion. I must go. Even if it is a child died. Even if it is a 6-month-old child, I must give it to Rabab. He goes inside. Rabab, I have got your son. When he was going, remember, he had told the people, I'm going to give water to Asghar. I'm going to bring water to Asghar. Pay very careful attention now. 2 minutes. You hear this, your hearts will break. He goes outside the tent. Rabab, your Asghar is with me. Take it. Rabab, take your Asghar from me. But before Rabab could come, a small 3-year-old daughter comes running. Sakina, Sakina comes running, but you want to hear what she says. She comes running outside, she clasps the Abba of Hussain and says, Baba, because Asghar was very beloved of you, you gave him water, you did not give me water. But now when the Abba opens, she sees Asghar, she runs inside. Oh mother Abab, my brother Asghar, no water, 3-pronged spear, wa Asghara, ladies gather, wa Asghara. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون رضا بقضائه وتسليما لأمره. مات محسن.